So here we are today with artist, author, and entrepreneur Grace Harry for Gurus Magazine's 28 Days, 28 Voices Black History Month series. Hi, Grace. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I can't even talk staring at your smile. I'm like,
You are so sweet. I'm so excited to be sitting here across from you to talk all the things. I don't even know where to begin, but of course, there's so much that you have accomplished and are accomplishing. You recently came out with a book called The Joy Strategist. I believe that was in 2024. Is that correct?
Great. Well, the very end.
The very end of 2023. And now more than ever, I feel that message is so important. Joy is so important to us. So I'd love to touch on that. But before we get into the importance of joy today and having a book like The Joy Strategist, probably in every facet of our home, maybe even in our car, to bring that to us. See. Perfect timing. I want to talk about a little bit about your work sits at the intersection between joy, culture, and liberation. For you personally, what does joy mean as a Black woman, and how has that evolved over time?
Oh, beautiful. See, this is what I love about you. Great question. Well, first of all, I am wearing right now the shirt of my daughter. So my number one role that I love to highlight is being a mother. And I start with that because especially, there's so much around that word and around that meaning. And when I was in the music industry early on in my 20s, I immediately reached out to all these mentors that are women and said, oh, I really want to do this, but I want to have children. I want to have a family. And I was told instantly, like, well, that's not going to happen. And that was such a complicated concept for me that I had to choose one or the other as a woman in life, and was not going to do that, and had children very young, and people thought I was crazy, and left a very beginning promising moment in the music industry to like make a person. And I'm actually so grateful for that, because I feel like it was that role that really inspired what I'm doing now. I was in the music industry for over 30 years. I've worked with some of the most amazing artists in the world. And when I had my children, I realized that we as parents are amateurs, and that we come into this role with no experience, no matter who you are. The first time you have a child, you have no experience. And so that's either a joke of the universe or there's a real message in that. And so I took that concept into the pandemic, and I started to notice that I had all these beliefs around relationships and love and who I am as a Black woman and who I am in the world. God bless you.
Thank you.
That really all come from other people's concepts of things. And so I decided that I would look at parenting differently, and I would talk to my children about some of the things that I've done for myself. And I would use this concept of stepping into the biggest, most important job in my life, but with no information, meant that, oh, this is where I'm supposed to learn again. It's a new birth. I'm supposed to reparent myself. I'm supposed to rewrite the rules, and I'm supposed to co-parent next to these children who also have things to teach me.
Right.
And that was in the middle of divorce number 3. And also noticing where the music industry was going and the treatment of people, and especially women in entertainment. And I decided to dig deep into how we got here, especially us. How did we get here? Like, what were the roles? What was the background? And I started to look at our media and our culture and all these concepts around what it means to be a joyous person. It's all for other people. But really, it's our North Star. It's our birthright. We actually are entitled to it. And even more than that, we're supposed to learn every second how to embody it to inspire. So that's really how this journey started for me, and why I wrote this book was really to talk to my own children and my own friends and say that, we pre-verbal, we created these concepts of what love is, of what intimacy is, what being a woman is, what being a man is, all these concepts that don't necessarily land in our own hearts, and how we trust everything else. We get into an Uber or a car and we're like, oh, the GPS said, but we have a GPS. It's our heart. But our brain scared of this heart and creates this whole other reality. So that's how that happened with the Joy Strategist. I started writing, I started doing my own work on me, changing some of this very hardened behavior that felt I needed to lead with in the entertainment industry, and where I threw the fight in relationship with husbands and partners, because this duality of self meant that I had to be the shrinking violet and surrender to this partner person while being this boss in the world. And how confusing that was to me, and how confusing that is to the core of who we are as humans. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you touched on that. Just kind of like the expectations and the duality, right? Of being soft at home and, being a boss in the office or being a boss at work, but not too bossy, right? Not too manly, don't step into the masculinity too much. It is a lot of pressure and stress and expectation, right? And all facades of being a woman. And then culturally, right? Those culturally expectations or misunderstanding of the way that we handle certain scenarios or challenges, or our assertiveness, or certain positive adjectives and words that are associated with other cultures, versus how they obviously are described with Black women. Can you speak on that a little bit?
I mean, I am loving. I lean non-political in the world because I think everything's political, actually. And when I say political, I mean marketing, really what politics are. And I came into the music industry. I was a 10th grade high school dropout, very uneducated. But I lean feminine, like there's a softness and a nurturing that's the core of me. And when I came in the music industry, as I was saying before, I saw these women who were really taking on this persona of being male. And I'm not saying it's not a gender thing, it's a behavioral thing. And what I'm loving watching right now is when the new Agent Orange came in to take over, when we reconnected with our toxic old lover who's now running the country, I was proud of us that we were like, you know what? Sit down. This is no longer our battle, our fight. And I felt like as Black women, we were indoctrinated into this world of America, in this culture, to be the savior, to take care of everyone, to have no needs, to be super strong. And to get to the background of it, I mean, what happened when you're onboarded on a plantation reservation? You're immediately separated from your family. You're immediately giving all these roles, and you have to be strong. And we've weaponized strength. And so I'm loving this soft power movement we're moving into. When I started writing this book about Joy before the pandemic, people laughed at me. They were like, Joy, we're hustling. We're making the Black excellence. We're making moves happen. And I realized that until we all, every gender, every age, every race, lean into the softness of our hearts, and lean into the beauty and the pleasure of each other, meaning inner systemic change, we will never see the changes on the outside. And then what was even more crazy is because I was in a third divorce, it was the pandemic, and I went mother hen and asked both my kids to come upstate where I was and pandemic with me for a bit. And my son and I have always been very close, and we started having a lot of fights. And I started to lean into, my father, who I love and we have a great relationship now, was in prison my whole life. And so I wasn't raised with a dad. And then I looked to our media, like movies like Soul Food, and not even dissing that movie, but really what is the premise of that? That women are strong and men are tolerated. And so I was raising my daughter like a warrior and raising my son like cautious. And that is where my relationships went. And I started to notice a lot of my friends who are amazing were relationshipless. And so I started to notice this thing of like, what is strength? What is power? What is my personal power? What do I lend to others? And where do I give my power away? And so a big part of this is leaning into love, examining love. What is love? What is love of ourselves? What is the love we share with each other? And where do we protect ourselves out of fear of love from our pre-verbal creation storytelling of love that we then take into adulthood that robs us of love?
Wow. I mean, you have been quoted saying that joy is a radical act. And here you are of transformation, a radical act of transformation. And you're speaking on in the moments in the world where it feels so heavy, right? Politically, culturally, emotionally. How do you protect your joy without disconnecting from reality?
I love these questions. The thing is that before we can protect it, we need to embody it. And when I wrote this book, at first I just thought, my friends are going to read it. I have so many friends who told me a year later, 2 years later, bought the book, but I didn't understand it. Because we were never taught to lean into our own pleasure. So how do we protect it? Well, how do we cultivate it? And we all had moments in our life, even if it was one day or 1 second somewhere, where we felt good. We felt good. We felt great. We felt empowered to be enjoyed. We felt empowered to feel good. We felt like it was our job. Maybe you were 2, maybe you were 5, but we know how to do it. And we look to all these other people, pastors and psychics and bosses and partners, for the answers that we actually have in here, when we're not afraid of the feelings and the emotions of our heart. So how do we protect it? By making sure we understand it's a full-time job. When we want to train our bodies and look hot and have a hot girl summer, or get fit, whatever we want to do, we understand there's steps to that. We need a professional. We need a plan. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be easy. But yet we think relationships with ourselves and everyone else should be. But that's not true. That's Disney sold us that bullshit, that you meet the person, you live happily ever after. So what I'm saying is, become a life lover. To make that not your hourly or your daily or your minutely, it's a secondly practice. Because the biggest problem that we have with all of these things, being a woman, being a man, being a partner, being a boss, being a founder, being an entrepreneur, being a child, being a parent, whatever, being a neighbor, being a commuter, being a person walking down the street, is that we are terrified that people will understand we're not worthy. We're all carrying this in some level or another. Maybe it's like, ground zero, or maybe it's like DEFCON. I don't even know if I'm using that right. But the truth of the story is that
yes,
our truth, our authentic hearts, we need to learn how to be in relationship with them, telling the truth to ourselves. Like, okay, Ashley asked you to be on this podcast. Do you want to do that? Oh, I don't want to upset Ashley. I don't want her to be upset. I don't want her to feel like I don't support her. None of those things have to do with our own joy.
Right.
So it's getting so honest with ourselves. It's scary, because sometimes our beliefs make us feel like we're going to be on the outside of the pack. We're pack animals. We're not going to be loved. We're not going to be understood. And yet the most courageous, and we talked about this before, that word courage, like to tell the truth of your own heart, is the most courageous thing that we can do. Because then it changes our dynamic. So instead, I would say, Ashley, or let me give you another example. I started my new podcast. I have a good friend. I asked her to be on an episode. She said no. That triggered the shit out of me for like 2 minutes. And then I thought, what? She's taking care of herself. I know this person. So I said to her, you know what? I'm a little hurt and a little disappointed. But I also am grateful that you're taking care of yourself, and that's not something that you feel comfortable doing. So it's these words are so triggering for us, because we have been taught that communication is confrontation. But I say to you that communication is life foreplay. That if we don't learn how to say, Ashley, you know what, I'm feeling really uncomfortable. I really want to be on your podcast, but maybe we can do a pre-run and talk about it. Or I'm not ready for that. Or in my age group, I never was on camera, whatever the thing was. But we have to learn how to tell the truth of our heart. And then everything else is handled, because when we do that, then we protect it. Like if somebody came right now behind you and they were like threatening you, I would try to get there instantly and help you out. But when people do things to us, we freeze. Or we fight or flight or freeze or fawn. Do you know about fawn?
I don't. Please.
So we know fight or flight, but there's 4 F's, because there's fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And freeze, we hear a lot of people be in these horrible situations and just give in. That's a freeze. And then the fawn is actually like trying to make the situation great for the oppressor or for the person hurting us. So when we understand ourselves and our dynamics and how we work in our little body here, in our hoopty, in our old car, then joy becomes our number one full-time job. We understand that we need to make a plan for it. We have to strategize around it so that we don't throw the fight for others or lose ourselves to other people. We start to be like, come in with our full bag of tools, and they're different for everyone. So it's really making sure that you understand how you feel, and your joy is the number one prescription in your life. And that, instead of it being anti to other people, or who does she think she is, or who do they think they are, or what, it's like you're welcome.
You're welcome. I love that. You're welcome. Wow. And it's interesting because with Black History Month, it's often focused and rooted on struggle. Right. So I'm glad that you're touching on us putting ourselves first, right? And it goes into the work that emphasizes the rest, the pleasure, the abundance of putting yourself first.
That's right.
That we're not taught in society, in our homes. But let's talk a little about that. Why is it important to center, or recenter those narratives in Black history and for Black futures about this kind of notion that our history is rooted in struggle?
Yes. Two things. I love this. My kids told me about 5 years ago, like, oh, we don't want to hear about it again. We don't want to watch another slave movie. We get it. We get it. So I like to lean to aspiration. So what are the things that are uniquely ours that have inspired us to grow? Coming to America, Black Panther, whatever we want to feel about it now, the Cosby Show, the Mara Brock Hill's recent thing, Forever. So there's this new narrative about our strength, and I bring that up because that's what we need right now. We're in a moment where we're being targeted again like wild animals on the street. And the positive about that, it sounds crazy, but the positive about that is that during the Obama years, who I love and adore, him and Michelle, there was this concept that like, oh, great, they got it, but nothing works that way. Real politics, real activism is at a local level for me. For me, the things that thrive in our world, school lunch, crossing guards, those all came out of struggle. So instead of us leaning into struggle as a badge, like on my back, like I've been through struggle, let's look at where struggle has created opportunity. And let's use that information to go back and use Black History Month to not say, we have this stupid short ass month that sometimes has a day and doesn't, but let's do every single day of Black History Month an aspirational, inspirational act of reversing and struggle, using our struggle as aspiration. And how do we do that? Right? Like, think about right now, what's happening? We're scared. People are terrified, but there's really simple, tiny little things we can do. You live in a neighborhood, there's 7 old people. How do you get your community to walk them to the store every time, to pick up things for them when you go to the store? How do you there's 6 single women in your building. You live in a giant, my daughter lives in one of those big, fancy, full amenities buildings, my Leaf. And, how do you, it's complicated out here right now. People are being hunted, literally. So what do we do as activism? We don't put one single dime into any corporation or billionaire that doesn't love us. I wanted to say the F word, fuck with us, hard, who doesn't want us to be a priority. And to lean positive, I'm watching companies and corporations do a quiet activism. And I love it, using art as activism. A lot of people during the beginning of the pandemic were placating like, oh, we're going to give $1 million to diversity. And then all those things immediately went away because it's business. But even Anna Wintour, with the Met Ball this year, dandyism. Now, whatever you people feel about who did the assignment or didn't, that was quiet activism. Ralph Lauren, this Martha Stewart campaign, to go back and not just appropriate it, but like go to the fore people of that, really honor them, make people look gorgeous, shoot them well. That's activism. I have not supported the top 11 companies that are supporting the prison industrial complex. That's really the root of our current administration. Not one dime. I don't go into one of those stores. I don't care about the convenience, because I'm understanding that convenience is setting us up for little cages. So what can we do right now, and what is that, and how do we support it? We feel into our world, and we only invest with our heart, our dollar, our time, our words, our energy, our power, and our softness into the things that are growing the world the way we like it. It's actually that simple. People get so angry at me about this. We just watched it in Minneapolis. That strike was amazing. But yet, people tell me, well, I'm good. I need to order something. The only place to order is from you know what. But that thing doesn't pay health insurance, doesn't support people, doesn't care, and does a $1 billion wedding when people are starving.
Right.
So we have to realize that we do have power. And the struggle is turned into community. The struggle is turned into what has worked before during the Black Panther movement, or I can't remember the one in Philadelphia that they burned their whole house down, or Martin Luther King, we just had his birthday. Activism on local levels, watching the 13 grandmothers. You know about the 13 grandmothers?
No.
The 13 grandmothers are 13, I'm supposed to say nowadays, indigenous grandmothers.
Okay.
Across different tribes that get together and do things like when the water pipeline thing was happening, they stood in front of the trucks. Or we saw in Minneapolis, people coming out, or even white women right now who are walking up to ICE and saying, what about me? So that's really my point. It's like, struggle? Yes, we've been there. We did it. We have struggled. We earned the struggle badge for generations in multiple continents. We got it. But do we know how to lean into our joy? Do we know how to be entitled to greatness? Do we know how to something? It smells like gas. Anyway, my friend's not here. The dogs are there. I'm just going to ignore.
Okay. I can pause if you need to.
They're quiet and it smells weird, but I'm just going to live a little trust here.
Okay.
So that's really the point. It's like struggle is amazing. It informs who we are, but it doesn't have to inform how we love, how we operate, how we give, how we support. What can inform that is, if we look underneath, what was Black Panther about? It was about what we're living in now. It was about people wanting our natural resources. Why are they in Venezuela? Why are they on Greenland? There's minerals there that feed our technology. Period. There's no news flash. People are saying, oh, the weather is fake. Yes. If there's this great movie called Wag the Dog. I don't know if you ever saw it. Dustin Hoffman. Please watch it. Please watch it. Literally, this politician calls Dustin Hoffman, who's a film producer, and asks him to create a war for this politician to win. It's what we're living in. So what do? We take our world back. And we use the little platforms, our 28 to 29 days we have in February, to say this every day and to really be about it. And so, I can go on about this topic for a long time.
No, but I enjoy it. I love it because it's I like what you touched upon, saying even leave instead of your children are saying it like, okay, here we go again, or they're tired of hearing the stories, right? And we can't erase history. Again, it's a part of our DNA. It's a part of America's DNA. But how do we tell the stories differently? Or how are they rooted in love? How they don't necessarily, yes, the struggle is there. It is what got us to where we are today. And there are other groups that struggle. People struggle. It's a part of humanity. But there's other ways to celebrate it or find aspiration in it. And it doesn't all have to be, necessarily the daunting areas of that upbringing, just kind of what came of that, right? Some things that we can celebrate. And you remind me when I think about people in history like Audre Lorde, like I think about poets and different people in our past and our history that use their platform, right? And not just the names that we know of, that use their voice and use their platform to make a difference, even if it's local. And I think that's great to resonate with that, because unless it's some grandeur type of impact, you're not making an impact. Yes, you are. Even just the smallest gesture, something you witness. So what we're seeing, if you witness something that isn't right or doesn't sit right within your spirit, and you address it, or you help, or you aid, the elderly person across the street, whatever. It is that local acts and small acts of kindness that lead up to ultimately love.
I call it random acts of joy.
Random acts of joy.
Every day.
Random acts of joy. Absolutely. And so, finding this courage to name the truth, to speak your truth, that is centered around humanity. Let's talk a little bit about, again, like that soft life, right? Going into, actually, before I get into that, aside, what other historical figures, who's inspired you? What other historical figures you feel like really paved the way for you as an artist, as an author, for you to be where you are today?
Oh my God, I have a obsession with Maya Angelou. I mean, like an obsession. I think I was 16 when I read her first book, and I never thought of myself as a writer or creative, but I loved her just personal storytelling as aspiration. And that really led me to write my book. I love that she's always just been who she is. She talks about all kinds of things, and none of it is over glamorized or sensationalized. It's just the facts of her reality. And at the end of the day, all her struggle, you read a book and they're heavy, but they always come out to what she learned, what she grew, how she grew, and how she inspired others to grow. So, and one of my favorite things she talks about, because, I'm 55 and I wasn't raised in an era to be like, like my daughter, we can be anywhere. All of a sudden she's in the perfect pose. I smile, I'm like, so, she talks about how every time she gets on stage, she leans into her community of ancestors and says, all right, everyone, here we come. We're doing this thing. And in her day-to-day life, she really teaches spirituality, faith, overcoming, perseverance, love, sensuality, sexuality, confidence. I mean, one of her favorite speeches, she's like, I got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs. I love her so much. Another one is Minnie Riperton. Obsessed with Minnie Riperton. And I love Minnie Riperton because I don't know why I call it secret. I've got to figure out how to stop being goofy about this. I do a lot of intimacy work when people ask me.
Okay.
I've come in and helped couples. I've come in and worked with, people who just had a child in their marriage or are looking for someone new, that dating app prequel. And I love to work with love and intimacy. And she talks about all those things, and Minnie Riperton talks about them. I mean, that song "Inside My Love," that's a crazy song, but also Le Fleur, about being a flower and like opening yourself up to softness. And I love her very loud, quiet softness. And then she was a songwriter and wrote for Stevie Wonder and all these incredible people. I don't know if she wrote for him or they wrote together. So I love. And this is going to get me in lots of trouble, but I worked with Kanye for a long time. And I worked with him, and the big project we did together, I worked on the tail end of one and the beginning of another, but the one we worked on together was 808 and Heartbreak, 808s and Heartbreak. And I started with him when I was at Geffen working with Common and doing a project with Common that he had produced when he was still more producer than the Kanye people started to know and used to love. But what I appreciate about Kanye, and still appreciate about Kanye, whatever he's saying now, whatever he's going through now, is that before Kanye, and even the other one who I'm not going to mention, but it used to be, as a Black person in America, there were certain roles that you could attain without deep education, but they required a lot of specific levels of skill and talent that if you didn't have naturally, it wasn't going to happen. And I do think he has a lot of talent and skill, but what he has more than anything is a belief that what he says and does and feels is essential and important. And as brown people in this country, we were trained early to live apologetically. And so one thing we don't have, and being mixed, and one of the blessings in my life was having the incredible opportunity to meet and spend time with Michelle and Barack, and a few times. And this mixedness, which being mixed was always, we never can talk about it, because as soon as I say I'm mixed, I'm immediately not claiming that I'm Black. And claiming I'm Black has a important activism in us, and I really get that. But having a diversity of family showed me all these places where there's entitlement and there's not entitlement. And so that entitlement, like you, okay, I don't have my job, but I want to do this. It wasn't this scare thing of like, I got another job, because what does it mean? And am I going to survive? And my value, which is really what has been ingrained in us from slavery. Slavery taught us, like, if you work hard, you're good. If you don't work hard, you're not so good. But the truth is, other people play. They believe they're going to get. They understand that manifestation is the underneath of like deserving. So, because you can say you manifest and believe all day, but if underneath you're running this imposter syndrome or not being entitled, then we're in trouble. So I felt like what was great about working with him was that, but also sky's the limit ability. He would say to me every time I wasn't around, because by the time I was working on his project, I was at Island Def Jam and I was running a few departments. So I really, and it's not my thing to like, I have to be with the big artist. It was really my thing to grow my team. I had a big team at that point. And when I came into Island Def Jam, I said to everybody, because I inherited art directors, producers of photo shoots, video commissioners, graphic designers, I told them all, my tenure here, my legacy with you is teach you how to do it all. Because every other business, you're going to need to learn to think as a creative director and think as this. And so I wasn't always at every shoot he did. And every time I would see him or he would call, he would say, I miss your energy. And it made me start thinking about that in a different way. Like, oh yeah, like my presence alone is the value because I choose joy, because I choose aspiration, because I lean positive. And so that aspiration of him, I had to explain it because those are the qualities of him that I think are really important. I can go on and on and on. I've been so blessed to be inspired by so many artists. I mean, my last husband, I can say some things that are not so positive, but I can also say that his work ethic, Usher's work ethic, is impressive. You know, his physical intelligence to be on a stage and know the city you're in, sing the thousands of songs, know every dance step, and not burn yourself to death because you know what the pyro cues and the, you know, that's physical intelligence. And what I learned from that was that I used to deem myself not intelligent because I'm not educated. And I really got from that relationship was like, oh no, your intelligence is what you hang your hat on, what you know deeply, and what you continue to cultivate within yourself and understand that's a superpower. So yeah, I feel like I'm inspired. People inspire me, period. Like I can meet someone on the street and they can have a conversation with me. Then I'm like, whoa, you're amazing. So yeah, those are the first that come to mind.
Oh, you are inspiring. You are amazing. Your energy resonates in our conversation. We've had multiple conversations, but just through this, conversation alone, this interview, your energy is infectious and you're very inspiring. And I think your story is important because there are a lot of people out there, especially now with social media and things are different. The landscape has changed in so many industries, right? Entertainment industry, and people are becoming overnight successes, whether they are prepared for it mentally, physically, emotionally, if they're of age for it. There's a lot of pressure and not realizing what it's doing to people psychologically as well. And then it's a gift and a curse because it's also like, wow, you don't have to necessarily go through so many middlemen or so many things that probably were, people were grandfathered in or handpicked, or maybe talent wasn't necessarily at the forefront. It was more like, nepotism. We can go on and on and on about that. So kind of like, social media has gifted a lot of opportunities for people to show their talent and to go to straight to the public, straight to the audience, right? To get somewhere. But I think that a lot of what you're discussing and talking about and the inspiration that you've pulled, I mean, there's still just so much groundwork that's necessary, needs to be done, inner work that people need to do within themselves. And, you having a 10th grade education, the rooms that you've been in, motherhood, being in, an executive, being with greats like, Kanye West, say what you want about him regardless. I mean, he's still an artistic genius, Usher, these are still people that, are truly talented, skilled, and gifted. And what you don't see, right? You see the end result. You see the album where you see, you're jamming in the club over on it. You're seeing them being interviewed, but you don't see what it takes to become that, right? You don't see the work that it takes to handle all the moving pieces, like you just describing Usher alone and his physical aptitude and mental aptitude to be that successful. But you to be that successful yourself, your journey is incredible, and you're so humble, Grace. You just wouldn't know from looking at your page, from speaking with you, who you've been around, all the work that you've done, who you've aspired. It's really, truly incredible. So I just wanted to take a moment to brag on you a little bit because
thank you.
You're so humble about your achievements. I just had to highlight that. And so do you miss thinking all the different hats that you've worn? Would you go back to anything? Are you happy where you are now? Do you miss any of those roles that you've had?
Yeah, well, yes, I'm going to answer that. But I want to say something about what you said before about overnight successes and where people are. That's literally why I left the music industry. And why I left the corporate side of the music industry, because I never really left the music industry. I still, I've had so many, I've had so many people that have worked for me or that I've touched on their shoulder and wanted to mentor and help and inspire, that forever I do. I'm where I am now. I'm helping someone build a bigger business. She was my right hand for a million years. And so missing it, I don't miss it because I'm in it. And what I'm loving is how different it is now and how many people can come into a real creativity. It's almost like back to the 70s where things were new and you could do something for $1 or a creative idea could grow something. I'm loving that. What is problematic to me in the entertainment industry as a whole and what have made me have to leave was the sad dysfunction of artists who don't have representation or awareness of what they're walking into, and they go down some very dark places that everyone is about and for when you're putting the numbers on the board, when you're making the money. Everyone is seeing this, but no one is doing anything to make sure that not only do they have the right financial representation so they know how to invest their money and what to do with it and they're not broke in a week, because that happens often, but also emotionally and mentally, spiritually, or even just creating a toolbox for how you need to show up. And it's hard. You're feeding a million masters. You're having to be yourself and not yourself at all times. And it's different. When you're an artist, you have to become the embodiment of a character. When you're an actor, you have to become nothing. So these things require a lot of psychology and they're difficult. And it's an industry that, when I was a teenager, the people that I idolized would tell these stories of people giving them drugs and bringing them, interesting things because it kept the art a certain way. And the real sad concept, and especially with us, it's like, I rally a lot around, and I'm happy that we do so much in this country where we have a good idea, but then it becomes bastardized. So wonderful that there's an incredible school that's a feeder to another incredible school that'll make sure you meet the top people in the world and grow. And you, Ashley, are so good at with your grades that we're going to give you a free scholarship to one of these schools. But we have not prepared you emotionally, mentally, for this experience. All these kids have a different lifestyle or speak a different language or have a different family or don't get you. And now your life is isolated into being this special person that doesn't know how to really thrive in the world because you have to be a different human to be here. And that is really what we look at in the music industry a lot, not just with artists, but executives. I have more people in my life as an adult that have taken their life than most people. And most of those people come from the music industry because there's this concept that you have to be this thing or you're special, that you have this thing or have these relationships. And there's not a lot of work that goes into the fortification of your solidness or your joy or your the belief that you can even walk away from things that are detrimental to your mental health. So that was a big thing for me. And it really started the Joy Strategist because I know so many broken people. And we have to look at that. We really have, and that goes back to what I was saying before. Black History Month has been relegated to people who have done some big things, but we have a responsibility to be in the Black history of the things that we have the power to change. And we have the power to change is, on one side of my world, the people will ask anyone for anyone. They'll say, Ashley, I have an idea for a company. Will you become the temporary CEO for some equity? And then I have other people who have genius ideas, proven products, things that work, who don't even know where to go for advice. So that's the things that really started to upset me in the entertainment industry and in the world of brown. Not just Black, but brown. And so I don't miss any of that. But what I do get to do now is I shove myself into those entertainment people with this new Joy strategy and really people come to me about their creativity and they want advice or help or brainstorming. And I love to do that. So I'll do it all day. But you're going to have to let me in emotionally too.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to build this big thing, I need you to be solid. If you're going to go for this new opportunity, then let's do some work and build your toolbox. So those are the ways that I get to be there. And I love it. Like I have a good friend who's a production company. I'm meeting this afternoon because she was one of the biggest production companies of the 90s and the aughts. Almost every video you've ever seen came through a company. But life is different now. People want visualizers. And now the big thing is these verticals, which are like, I call them mini episodics, like 2-minute series or whatever. That's amazing. But what do people need to feel like they can achieve that so it's successful? Understanding that viral means you can't make viral. You have to be so tapped into the 8 billion people on the planet that they all connect to your thing. That's what viral is. So I don't miss it. I get to do it in my own unique way. And I love it. If people are smart enough to come calling on me, I'll give you my 40 years of advice in this industry, because I started with the native tongues before I even worked in the company. My teenage friends that I were growing up with were Q-Tip and Paz from De La Soul and Latifah and Moni Love, who stayed with me when she came from London. And Q-Tip was my first love. And he wrote a song about me called Bonita Applebaum. And it used to embarrass me to death. I never talked about that. My daughter was always like, why don't you share it? But now as I move into intimacy and really, really share that as this extension of joy, like, we can be scared of a big experience, but we're really more afraid of our own pleasure. We're really more afraid of our own softness. So I love talking about Bonita Applebaum because I'm proud of that 18-year-old girl who told a new guy that she was dating, if you don't take care of me also, like, what kind of intimate relationship we're going to have? And then he wrote a song about it because no one ever told him, like, you're going to have to, like, you know what I mean? Especially in the 80s, you were like a crazy whore to even be having a moral sense. But to me, it was like, yeah, well, we have to take care of each other. I'm going to take care of you.
Right. That's right. Exactly.
And that song became so big to people. And I think it became big because it was one of the early hip hop love story songs, but also because it had an entitlement in it. And it had a woman, and he's like, I want to kiss you where some brothers don't. Yeah. Only you could see through your elaborate eyes. Like, it was highlighting things that songs don't highlight now, which were about him appreciating the qualities of me, not what I'm doing to his dick.
There you go. I mean, there you go. I mean, it's empowering, honestly, right? I mean, it's stepping into your power.
That's right.
I mean, that's exactly what that is. And I love that you refer to it as the native tongue. You were speaking then in your native tongue. That is like,
that's what they are called.
Such respect. I love that. But do
you know that that's what De La, Tribe, Latifah, all, and they have a collection. They call themselves the native tongues.
I did not know that.
That's what that whole group of people, leaders of New School, Black, Busta Rhyme, they call themselves the native tongues.
Did not know that.
That's the same way that like Common and the Roots and all them are Soulquarians.
Yes.
They're native tongues.
There you go. See that? Oh my goodness. I love that piece of history. And there's something I want to touch on that you said, and it kind of ties into the softness. And I want to hear kind of a little bit more about the intimacy and where you're with some projects you're working on and moving forward. But the fact that you are biracial, right? And I love that you bring into that and seeing kind of the experiences from two sides, right? Different cultures and what one is unapologetically allowed to be and where the other has to ask. It's taught to ask for permission if they dare so. When you're thinking about this whole Black history and who's Black enough and who, oh my goodness, all of those expectations, like clearly, I mean, I've experienced it myself, just the way I talk, right? You can imagine that, how growing up, oh, where are you from? This, that. Okay. But then if you go to a cookout in my house, oh, okay, that, I get this all the time. Those are your cousins? That's your cousin? Yes. So again, these labels, right, or how we should be or what's considered Black enough, brown enough, what's accepted, not accepted, or you're half this, I'm in an interracial relationship, right? We get it from both sides.
That's right.
So when you're talking about, again, I want to lean into some of those expectations or those labels when we're talking about this soft girl era. And when that kind of started to come about, and Meghan Markle, and then with her Netflix show, and then now it's like all of a sudden, I just didn't expect, for me personally, I didn't expect it. Are you surprised with kind of some of the connotations that are coming around soft girl? I guess I would say, what does soft girl era mean to you, right? And especially being a Black woman. And are you surprised at some of the reactions that we're receiving from this Black women being in their soft era?
What are some of the reactions that you think we're receiving?
Some of them are kind of negative. That I'm kind of seeing, not from like us and within our culture, but just kind of like, I don't want to say that it's not allowed for us, but it's almost like looked around like, why are we taking that stance? Why are we going in that? Why are we adopting that? Right? Like almost like we have to explain why we're saying we're in our soft girl era.
Yes. Well, the thing is, when we started talking as brown women who have historically, like I love also another artist that inspires the hell out of me is Kara Walker. I don't know. Do you know Kara Walker?
Yeah.
Obsessed. She's doing a new project that I can't wait to see where she's creating robots that are like Mammy and all the traditional slave roles. She's so good.
I love that.
I love that, and I love her. The reason I bring her up is because her work really shows you what the roles that were created for us. And so if you look at the world we're in now, back to America being great, is us being back to the roles of service. Let's just call it what it is. And so if I came to your house one day and was like, hey, Rich, Ashley, I have a robot for you that's going to take care of it. It's going to clean the house. It's going to blow him if you don't feel like it. It's going to make dinner. It's going to tend to your garden. It's going to grow your food. It's going to wash your giant linens in the lake because you don't have a washing machine. And you're going to become rich. And then I come back to you many years later and say, my European cousins don't like this slavery thing anymore. So I got to take these robots back. You're not like, great, okay, I get it. Let's be fair. You're like, okay, I don't want these things around my family then. Like, they were here to serve a purpose. So we have to take a little of the emotion away from the reality of things and just look at it as a business structure. There's, you ever saw the documentary, the James Baldwin one, I Am Not Your Negro? That same director, I can't think of his name right now. He did another movie, a documentary called Exterminating all the brutes. And basically, the first screen of this documentary starts with the disturbing confidence of ignorance. And that's what we're dealing with as a world. And it doesn't show just Black slavery. It shows the business of civilization, colonization, and extermination throughout millennia around the world. So you get that there's a business here. So let's start there. So why that people would be angry with that is because we're not playing our roles. Now, that's one thing. The second thing is there's been a little confusion between the soft girl era and this soft life. And the soft life is the, what's her name? The woman somebody who, she died, but she was married to someone who was like 90. She was a model, the Guest model.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Anna something, Nicole something. Anyway.
Anna Nicole Smith.
Yes.
Yes.
So there's this thing of like, I'm going to marry a 99-year-old man if it's going to get me to the life I want. And I think they're kind of pushing together. And I'm not anti anything anybody wants to do. But the other side of it, the softness, the soft life, the soft era that I think you and I are talking about started when the new orange man came in, and was the first time that we as Black women didn't feel that we had to fix it. Because that's our role. Oh, we're now on this plantation. We've just come off a boat and people died on top of me and now you're going to take my husband and sodomize him and send him to another house. And I'm supposed to just take care of all the kids until you steal them and send them away. That sounds harsh, but it's real. And so now, who the hell do we think we are that we can be soft? Do we think we're white women? Do we think that this world is for us? But you know what? It is. And I believe that most of the fear mongering and the roles created and the concepts are to keep us from just doing a slight pivot to the right or to the left and remembering, holy shit, before Pangea, before someone went around the planet and knocked all the penises and noses off everything, we had Mansa Musa, the richest man in the world.
Yes, we did. Yeah.
Who, just like Genghis Khan, has like, I think there's some crazy statistic that between Genghis Khan and Mansa Musa, like all of us are related to one of them. And we have so much power. And when we have this level of genius and the fact that we're here on this completely unlevel playing ground and we still excel at everything, that's really the soft era that we are holding on to allow ourselves to lean into that, because we understand on a deep level that there's a reckoning. And the reckoning starts within our heart. That if we just believe that and carry ourselves that and walk to the front line of a protest, the front of the office, the middle of the boardroom, the living room with our partners, the school with our children, and we sit there and we're like, yes, no, maybe, I like it, I don't. We've never seen that before. And we've never seen that in our own selves. We're supposed to be strong. We're supposed to be warriors. We're supposed to be fearless. We're supposed to get together with our girls and light their shit on fire. But actually, what we want is to be soft. I even have a philosophy that gets me in so much trouble, or why interracial is becoming even more with Black women. There's all these concepts that we're supposed to do when we're in relationship with each other that gives us permission to not have to support the other in a way because we know what we've been through. And yet, a lot of us are saying, I want to be with someone who's going to allow me to be whoever I'm becoming now. So to me, that's all what the issues are underneath the soft life era. And to me, the soft era is the joy era for us. It's for you saying, I'm going to do a podcast interviews for Gurus magazine for Black History Month about aspirational people who are life gurus. That's the soft error. It's for me being like, it's 9 o'clock. I haven't finished my presentation for the hotel, but I need my beauty sleep. So I'm going to trust that it's going to get done. I'm going to have a beautiful rest. I'm going to wake up. 6 years ago, I would have worked till midnight. I would have woken up at 6. So I think that we're softening into what we actually deserve. And it's the work of doing the belief underneath the deserving is what's going to not change other people's concepts about it, but make us not hear it.
There we go. Love that. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much for explaining that. And I resonate wholeheartedly. I love it. And I'm in my soft girl era, y'all. So anyway, so tell me what is in the future for you, Grace Harry. So we have first Joy Strategist. Where can we find it? Where can we purchase it? Our audience is going to want to know. I think, again, I will reiterate, it's more important and imperative than ever that we find joy in these confusing times that we're in. Where can we find the Joy Strategist?
Well, everywhere. You can go to Instagram. I'm at Grace Harry. Go to YouTube, The Joy Strategist. And I've been putting up podcasts and interviews with other people and things on there. The book you can buy anywhere. It's so good. Buy it. Because what I've done in this book, I'm blessed to have so many incredible friends who are healers and therapists and PhDs and yoga instructors and astrologers, everything, authors. And they all write these really amazing books. But they're intense. So like my friend Chris Hicks always says, I wanted someone to talk to me like I'm 6. The issue is you can go to all these experiences, you can go to these workshops and conferences and therapists, but the integration work is not there. We need to build our own toolbox. If you wake up in the morning and you do a thing or two, but then you go in the world, you're defenseless. You have no joy snacks. You have no tools for yourself. You could be in the best mood and you could walk down the street and someone could be in a wretched mood and say something to you that changes your whole day. So we have to create those experiences for ourselves, and I bet beauty and that passion for ourselves. So I really am the Joy Strategist. Oh my goodness, so sorry, so amateur. The Joy Strategist is about that. It's like there's exercises in there. There's ways to build your toolbox. There's examples. There's things from my own life, and I really get to the underneath for us in there too. About why we're looking at some of these things without penalizing, but to understand them and have compassion and know how to move forward in a world that's counting us out. We're counting us up. So those things. Now, but what was interesting was during the pandemic, the people that I was working with in terms of growing their business or building their team or coming up with creative marketing or figuring out how to really speak the story of the concept on social media started to say to me, Grace, literally it started like that. I'm in my house with my wife or my husband or my partner or my roommate or my parents, and it's not going well. And I started to see a deep need to teach people about pleasure and communication, about intimacy, about leaning into a Venusian reality with each other. And that was so much fun. I mean, it was everything from helping people break up, helping people get together, helping people find people. So I started doing this thing because I'd never been on a dating app before. I've been married 3 times. I've never dated really in that way. So now, celibate 4 years after Usher, I was like, I need to get my life together. I need to figure myself out. And then I said, well, I'm going to go on a dating app because I don't want to be the wounded healer. I need to figure love out for myself. And that's where 8 billion people are. I feel like one of the worst things we've done is we've spread out from our families and friends. We live across the world. And I think was capitalism's smart design. Because before that, we had intergenerational socialization. We had other people around us in our neighborhoods and our families that we could talk to if we weren't necessarily connecting to our core family, whatever. So we had more opportunities to learn how to communicate and to feel each other and to find love that we don't have now. So when I went on the app, I realized that everyone is looking for love through their brain, not their heart, because they don't want to get hurt. They don't want the pre-verbal when they decided what love is. Oh, my family is busy and they're teenagers. So I decided that love is when I'm over-giving or working extra hard. That's when I get love. And I took that on the road. And then who loses then in that scenario? I do.
Right.
So I started this thing called Unswipe Me, where I do a process before you get on the app, but really I'm just trying to teach you to pick her. You go to a supermarket, there's no question, you're not walking out with Lunchables and Coca-Cola maybe, and maybe you are. you're clear that not only what you want isn't here, but you're only going to get what you want. But when love happens, even with friends, even with a job, even with an intimate, we're like, oh, pick me. And whatever, I'll just be the thing. But that same level of discernment for choosing a life partner, we need to elevate that. So I'm loving. If you have any people who want to do that, please.
Yes,
So much fun. I did one last weekend. I had a woman fly to me from North Carolina to Florida, where I was to do it. She's now engaged from one of the people we met because we get honest. And the 8 billion people are on there because they don't live near anyone. Even matchmakers can't do their job well anymore because we're all so spread out. But what I'm offering is how to retrain it so that you're speaking into the world, into the 8 billion abyss, heart to heart. And you're also teaching people how to communicate with you because I go through the whole process and we do conversation and stuff. And I do a workshop called the Playroom. It's so much fun. I call it a FET. Yeah. And I come in and I've done it a few ways. One, if you host one, it's you and your community. And we just do a series of things where we get closer, we understand each other more, and we leave with some deal memos with ourselves and each other on how to be in the world, on how to support each other, on how to ask what we want, on how to, serve our needs. It's so much fun. And right now I'm pitching it to hotels to have a playroom in the spa so that for a month residency, people can experience this. So that's really what I'm working on. I'm also writing another book about intimacy and pleasure.
Oh my goodness, this is so fun. I don't even know where to start. I'm like, oh my goodness. So you have Unswipe Me, The Playroom, and you're working on a second book. Unbelievable. I mean, so aspiring, so much fun, so creative, and more importantly, it's entrenched in joy. It's the foundation of what you've been saying all along and what is needed. That is where I'm like, I want to be like, okay, tell people where to go. So let's start with one, Unswipe Me. Where can people, how can people get involved?
It's been a year. DM me. Go to Instagram, DM me, and we'll do it. I'm doing them mostly in person because I got to take your phone for a bit. But, I'm in LA right now. If you're in LA, please DM me. I want to do these. They're so much fun. And people cry. They freak out because we're so brain trained. And as soon as I start to get deep in your heart's truth, and that has to get public, the amount of fear people have, but yet they'd rather be afraid of what people think than actually be in a beautiful, pleasurable relationship with people. So that's really what we're working on there is like other people, like why someone said this to me, I thought it was so brilliant. We live a life where we would die for people that don't even want to live for us.
Wow.
So let's change that and get what our heart deserves. So yeah, DM me. Also, I have a website called the Joy Strategist that, a lot of this information is there. And then on the website and Instagram and Linktree, you can book from one of the experiences from there.
Perfect. Is that as well with the Playroom? Can they book the Playroom experience there as well? Perfect. Yes, so you can find Grace Harry, and it's at Grace Harry, I believe is your IG handle.
Yeah. You start there. Everything's there.
Start there. Okay, great. You have the Linktree, you have the joystrategist.com, also have our website. So you can access all the fun things that are current and ongoing and to come. Absolutely amazing. I was like, that just changed on us. My phone is doing its own thing. Can you hear me? Okay.
Okay.
My phone just changed screens on its own.
It's like,
okay.
Stop talking.
My phone swiped. I'm like, are you swiping left? What are you doing?
It's like, I want a dating app experience as well. Where's my computer lover?
Oh my goodness, too funny. Well, this is super exciting. Thank you so much, Grace, for spending time with me. I could talk to you for hours, as always. I've got a lot of great information here. I cannot wait to share it with our audience and to dice it up and break it up. You've just said some really important things. You've dropped some knowledge on us. Thank you very much. We're all about that. And I'm just so excited for where you are and where you're going. And of course, we will continue to follow your journey.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. I also love talking to you, and more to come.
More to come. Yay! Let's see if I could start recording this here. Do-do-do.